Right, we ready?
Yep.
You set?
I think so.
We're good to go?
Everything but a coffee, but
Oh, the coffee. Alright,
after coffee.
no worries. Let's get into it.
Okay.
Let's do it.
Welcome to Pass the Salt. Things are a little bit different. It's our Wednesday instead of the usual Sunday or whenever you get to it. So we thought we'd change things up. We're going to do Pass the Salt as like a discussion segment on Wednesday nights for you to join in. So the idea is we'll get it started, we'll get the questions happening, and then it's over to you. Just keep the conversation going in the Facebook chat below.
Yeah. Well, we generally talk to people in person. We can't do that right now. So, what better
Yeah.
way than to do it like this?
Yeah, so the way that this game works is that there's a number of categories. So there's 5 categories. There's people,
Blue,
relationships, ideas,
yellow,
justice,
orange,
and environment.
green.
And we roll the dice, whichever one we get, that's the question that we answer. There is a little special choose your own adventure one on the dice, which I think in previous times Aaron decided that if we get one of those, the other person chooses the topic for us.
It's only fair.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
why
think
not?
that's it. So shall we go?
Add some spice to this pass the salt.
Yeah. Who's going first?
Rock, paper, scissors.
Oh, okay.
Let's do it. On
is
3.
it on
1,
3
2,
or
bang.
after 3?
It's always that. 1, 2,
No,
bang.
not
All right.
always. Okay.
Rock,
1, 2,
paper,
3.
scissors. Oh. And quite rightfully I lose. Alright, so
So
does
you
that
go
mean
first.
alright, that means I roll first.
Yep.
Alright, here we go. Simple as this. I got blue.
People. Okay. Oh,
Here
you'll
we
love
go.
this. How do you make difficult decisions? Oh, don't
What-
you love the broad ones?
I like difficult... No, I don't like them. How do I make difficult decisions? Through difficulty. No. How do you make difficult decisions? Look, I think some people might do this, others won't. I'm a bit of a list guy in a way. And so it's a bit of a pro-con type situation.
Oh,
Trying
the
to
old
figure out...
pro-con.
The old pro-con. Trying to figure out... Weighing up all the different options and everything. Seeing what's for it, what's against it. What could benefit, what might not benefit. Who it's going to affect. All those sorts of things. So it doesn't really affect just me in that moment. It's like, how do I make that difficult decision?
Yeah.
Try and gather some resources as well.
What
I talk
snacks
to...
you're going to need for movies, you know, stuff. Oh,
That is a very
that's
difficult
really
decision.
difficult. I get stressed out at decisions like
That late night snack run. What do you want? Just text me because I know it's going to
We
take you a
don't
while.
do late night snack runs.
No, we don't. Okay, that's. But yeah, you know those big difficult decisions,
Yeah.
but that can go all the way into work decisions and all sorts.
Yeah.
So it's about thinking it through, mapping it out. That's how I do it. Some people, I think, maybe they can map things out quicker. I think we still have that process in our head of going, oh, what's the good, what's the bad that comes out of this? But they can do it very quickly. Credit to them. But yeah, I just like to think about what could happen.
You are a little bit
My
of one
problem
of those
would be
people, aren't you?
overthinking it.
Yeah, like you're a hazard thinker sometimes. It's
Risk
like, what
analysis.
what if, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
And sometimes you can't think like that. There's always an element of risk in a decision, I think. So,
Yeah, that's it. All right.
Very cool.
So should we say this one's done?
Yeah.
All right. There we go.
I went that way.
Yep, there it is.
Okay, my
Here we go.
turn.
Number 2.
So disappointed. You've gone off the justice train.
Oh no. All right. So we got an environment card.
Environment. I'm not looking. Just assisting.
A green card.
Green card. Sorry.
We do want to go to America one
Squirrel.
day. Probably not to live, although who knows what the future might hold. But yeah, green card wouldn't be bad. Anyway, we digress. Karen's question is: when you observe suffering caused by natural disasters,
Oh.
what questions arise?
Oh,
Here's a
that's
difficult
nasty question.
Would you like the card?
I mean, we're so blessed in this country to not experience natural disasters as often as other countries.
Well, but
However,
when we do,
obviously. I personally haven't been like in the thick of a personal disaster or natural disaster myself, which makes this even harder because like it blows your mind. Like even in the recent bushfires,
Yeah.
that have happened here, it just like it blows you. I don't think your mind fully comprehends. You know, like how this can happen and the
absolute
suffering and
devastation.
like
Yeah.
how these people are coping. So yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure about the questions arising. I mean, there's all sorts of chaos and order involved in environment, and I think these things are going to get misaligned sometimes.
Yeah.
And I think that, you know, people have built on land all over the world, and I think that makes it really hard to sort of, like, I know that some people would be saying, like, making this a God thing, like, why would God allow this to happen?
Exactly.
That's like the common question I think that comes out of this. I don't tend to go that way for whatever reason. I just don't think that it's helpful for us to, you know, blame God for things like that, because, again, our minds don't comprehend, you know, the ways of God. But, yeah, I think that's a hard one because,
I don't think God wants us to suffer either.
No, of course not.
Suffering is a part of our free will, that we make certain choices. Natural disasters are out of our control, but we've made decisions to live where we live, and naturally things can happen, and unfortunately the consequences that happen with that shouldn't be blamed on God.
I suppose probably my questions more so go from, like, not reactively, but then, like, the aftermath, as in what can we learn
That's
from
exactly
this?
where I was thinking.
And how can we come together better for this?
How can we help?
Yeah. So I think my questions are more coming afterwards, as opposed to like a reaction of like, why did this happen? Or, you know, it's more about, okay, it's happened. We don't know why. There's no point wasting our time thinking about why. Let's think about what we can do now.
Become proactive.
To band together and help to prepare maybe better. I don't know if there's a way of preparing. I know there've been some really crazy technology that's come out of some of the tsunamis where they have like those sirens that can give warnings, and we have like weather and all. Yeah, I think there are different things that people way smarter and more technically brain can come up with.
Well, the first thing is to save human life in this sort of situation, if we can be better prepared for that. So the learning that comes out of these things is important.
Yeah.
And try and save as much life. We can always rebuild, as devastating as that is as well, and try and get people back on track. But yeah, it's a big one.
It is a big question. Again, like, the instant side of compassion makes me cautious to ask, you know, questions that are not helpful.
Yeah.
I think even in the most devastating times, we need to be careful what questions we're asking, so that we're not, you know, pointing fingers or not causing more drama within an already chaotic time. Like the pandemic that we're in right now, you know, we have to be careful to ask questions that are helpful, rather than questions that are, you know, pointing fingers or creating more drama or highlighting things that are damaging. So,
like, as much as we say, what can we do, there's also a limit as to how much you can do and how you do it, how you even go about doing something like this. So it's really
and sometimes
hard.
with big things like this, like you can feel really helpless. Like, what can little me do in this big giant thing that's happened? Like, I think sometimes we feel overwhelmed with you know, the possibility that we can make a difference or we can do something to help. So I think lots of questions can arise from people suffering due to natural disasters, and it's a thing, it happens, and it's going to keep happening in some form throughout the world. But I think still, out of such tragic chaos, beautiful things come from that when you see people rallying together. But not to lessen the terrible things that happen.
No,
but,
that's right.
You know, there's always something beautiful to come out of that. So, that's a tough question.
Yeah, so
I'd love to hear some of your comments on that one. Doesn't matter if you want to be the one that asks, you know, some questions that are really hard.
The difficult
in
question.
fact, ask them. Be bold. We want you to ask the questions, and we're not going to answer them for you. We're not like gurus, but it's great to have that conversation, to throw things in the mix that other people haven't thought of, because I'm sure you've thought of things that we haven't thought of. So, and that's the whole point of this, is actually let's talk about things in a safe environment, be respectful of each other, But sometimes some really great conversation comes out of something that starts off like this, and it could get waylaid into something else, and that's totally
Good.
okay as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's how we learn, it's how we grow, it's how we put things on the table so we can work out new ways of doing things.
Yeah.
And make those difficult decisions, like threw the card away.
Yeah.
Make those difficult
Yeah.
decisions as well, and the process of doing that.
I'm sure there's been some difficult decisions had to be made over the course of this year, just in COVID, like business owners and parents and teachers and things like that. It just, healthcare workers. So, we'd love to hear from you. That's it. The 2 questions.
Simple
Start
as.
the conversation. We'd love you to keep it going.
Yep.
And maybe in the future, if we start, getting some participation, we might go live with this so we can have live conversations. So,
Which would be amazing.
that would be fantastic. So, we want to hear from you. So, that was Pass the Salt.
No worries.